Hello and welcome to Common Program on RNTC TV. I'm Rebecca Bironji. Traditionalists agree it's a good idea to marry someone who comes from your own culture and also knows your own values. But people are a collection of human traits, and it's possible that an individual from another country or a tribe may be similar or share your values like you. Well, to kickstart the discussion, with me is Susan Abuka.
Thank you.
And Douglas Namale.
Thank you.
Well, do culture intermarriages contribute to conflict resolution?
I totally agree. I can put a big agreement there, because if you look at countries like Africa, whereby there's a lot of conflicts, and some of these countries, they have problems with, tribal clashes, or, tribal or political conflicts, or religion conflicts, or racial conflicts. So I think intermarriage or intercultural marriage, it will be the good medicine to solve such issues. People will respect each other, because if you want to fight with the other person, you will think, oh, this is my in-law. So I think intercultural marriages, it's a very, very good idea.
There you are. Susan does agree that intercultural marriages are really good for the African continent. Douglas, what's your take?
I disagree. And we have a number of statistics that show intercultural marriage has not worked. In USA, 65% of cross-cultural marriage has problems, and it has indicated it's not working. We have seen the women battering in North Korea. Middle East has a long list. We saw the France shooting recently, so the list is quite long.
But I don't agree when you said like 65%. Give me a concrete example. It's not a concrete like women battering. What do you mean by that?
Maybe when I mentioned just 65%, you didn't understand what I said. There's a research from University of Illinois that indicates cross-cultural marriages is not working, and they have shortlisted beliefs, communication, faith, social inclusion, among other things, as things that are leading to trouble in relationships.
Susan, how could you share with us your experience? Are you a product of intercultural marriages?
Well, yeah, I am a new product of intercultural marriages, and I can tell Douglas, my friend here, which he doesn't agree. I'm telling you, intercultural marriages, 85% it does work. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, it does contribute to conflict resolution. I gave an example of African countries. Whereby countries in Africa, which they have conflict, tribal conflict clashes, it will not happen because of the intercultural marriages. Let me give you an example also, like you talked about facts, right? If you take the year 1948 to 1949, to 1949 in South Africa, whereby that time they brought the racial segregation that people should not marry from other cultural. Look what happened now in South Africa. The issue of racial, it's still a problem, right? Even if maybe it's not well seen, but it is still a problem. And why I'm saying that, I'm also like, I can like, to come back to your question, you asked me whether on my own experience about the intermarriage or intercultural marriage. I totally agree, because now I'm learning new ways, and maybe it didn't happen, but in the future I'm very sure it will happen. I can say that I'm a product of two countries uniting.
Which countries are we talking about?
Let me say Netherlands and South Sudan. So who knows in the future? Who knows, So it might happen, and this is just as a result of simple practice that, from the down
Wow.
It can grow to up.
Yes, you are watching Common Voice program on RNTC TV. For our viewers who are joining our discussion, just a reminder, we are looking at intercultural marriages. Do intercultural marriages contribute to conflict resolution? Well, I have, we RNTC team interacted with Bei Wang, who is the chief editor of the Chinese Department of Radio Netherlands worldwide. She shares her experience on this subject.
Behind all the cultural difference, language difference, we are all people. And then as people, as human beings, and you have a lot of similarities. So when I met my husband, I don't see him as a foreigner. I see him as a man, as a person. And then I think that makes life much easier. I think I just try to raise my kids in a way that we are human. We have a lot of similarities, no matter what cultural differences.
Douglas Namale, you've just heard what Bei Wang has said. What's your take?
First, I know Bei Wang as a person. And again, the same statistics are just introduced earlier, that 65% of cross-cultural marriages is not working in the US and in many other parts of the world. They're also indicating that only the little percentage that is working are coming from people who are well educated, and they're also very rich. Now, why is this statistic working? It is because these people are the ones who have managed to go into different places, see different backgrounds, and see what's happening. That's why that is working. But in a scenario where the world is big, majority of the world has not been able to travel, it is just not working.
But in Africa, we have examples where people have not traveled, but people are marrying within each other's communities. You don't necessarily have to really, travel. They haven't even seen the other part of the globe. All they know is within their own communities. And, yeah.
That's what even I wanted to enter in when he said there's little percent of the intercultural marriages are working, and this is for the rich and the people who are exposed, who got the opportunity to travel out. I don't agree totally with you. First of all, I am a product. Let me give you an example. I am a product of an intercultural marriage. And again, the same example, I will carry it. Let me give you an example. In Southern Sudan in particular, the Dinkas, it's a tribe, it's the majority tribes, which is, the other tribes hate them so much, they think that they take everything. But it's not like that because they are majority. And as a Dinka, they are just closed in the same circle. They're not allowed to go beyond the circle. They're not allowed to interact with other people from other cultural backgrounds or something like that. But like right now, if you look at the percent of the intercultural marriage, it's not a lot, but it's really helping. Like from my tribe, the Dinka, they go marry other tribes, and after that, they bring conflict resolution, because today you cannot attack your brother-in-law or you cannot attack your mother-in-law or something like that. If you want to do it, you will think about it. Oh, those are my in-laws, or those are people who are close to me.
Just to look at what you're saying, if you want to look at it critically, which percentage do we give your example? It is less than 2%.
My example of intercultural,
she has not given statistics here. She's only giving an example of how the Dinka are marrying, how the Dinkas are marrying other people from the other tribe.
But do you have a proof? It's 2%, because for now you're telling me you're very sure it's 2%. But if you have a proof and if you have an example,
studies are there, and I've just mentioned.
Tell me more.
From University of Illinois.
Where is the University of Illinois?
University of Illinois has traveled
Convince
across
me
the
as
world,
a person who's in the background.
Ladies and gentlemen,
where do you get your facts then?
Mr. Douglas, I'm very sorry. I don't agree with you totally.
Susan,
at
Douglas, you said that 65% of the interracial marriages have failed, but at least we have the 45% of intermarriages in the USA, which shows that it is really working.
But Douglas, can you compare the USA to Africa? I mean, to the developing worlds in particular? Can you do that?
Okay.
There's a statistic in Kenya, for instance.
Yeah, show me.
The people in Kenya, because of so many tribes, so many marriages that are coming from cross culture, they don't last.
I'm telling you, it will last.
Okay.
If it doesn't last,
we are saying
look
it
at the
will
issue
last,
of the
but
conflict
right now
in
it's not
Kenya that
working.
happened recently. Was
Thank
it 2009 or something? The election conflict. If there was intercultural marriages, this issue, it won't happen.
That's
Because
an
today I will
assumption.
look at
It
a
is not
Kikuyu
an
Because
assumption.
it is not working.
Susan
It
and
is
Douglas.
working.
Susan,
It is working.
Susan and Douglas, I would like to bring you back to our board of discussion. We are not talking about electioneering. We are talking about
Exactly.
intercultural marriages. You are still watching Common Voice on RNTC program. We also have a clip from Janie Lucy, a marriage consultant in New York, United States of America. She highlights some of the key problems that may be faced by interracial marriages.
Generally speaking, what I tend to see is when it comes into economical status, if there's one family that has more money than the other race, that usually plays a big part in acceptance. But generally speaking, there's about 2.5 million interracial couples in the United States. Well, it's usually communication, we're not getting along, and one of the top reasons also is in-law being accepted and not feeling like someone's accepting them and bringing them into the family and respecting them.
There you are, you had it. Well, briefly, what's your response on Lassie's message?
The marriage consultant has confirmed communication is a
Briefly.
problem.
In 2 seconds.
Inclusion is a problem.
In 2
Marriage and
seconds.
rich money is another issue.
Okay.
So
Thank you so much,
these are the
Douglas.
factors I have just mentioned.
Thank you so
I
much,
don't agree
Douglas.
with you. Today,
what is your take,
my
Susan,
take
on
in
what
this,
Susan-
she
on
might
what
be an
Lassie has
expert
said?
on interracial marriages, but I don't agree with her. Because if you go to the down to the grassroots level, sometimes even two marriages from the same racial culture or from the same culture, it doesn't work. It's just only where your heart goes to, who you love, who you fell in love.
Thank you.
That's the end of it.
Thank you, Susanna. We need to touch base with the people who are connecting with us. We have some responses from the internet and also the phone. I have a message from Muhammad, who has actually just sent us a message. He says, I never understood why race is such a big issue. Love is love, and people are going to be married to whoever they are attracted to, period. Briefly. Why is racial such a big issue, Suzanne?
I don't have any idea, but it's just a disease. You can treat it with Panadol.
Namale, in 2 seconds, why is race such a really big issue?
Race is a big issue because if Susanna could have not managed to travel from South Sudan to Netherlands and settle here, she could not be talking the way she's talking now. So education, money has played a role there.
Thank you.
I don't agree totally with
Thank
you.
you so much for your ideas. Then we also have a response from Ginger, also in Hilversum. She says all marriages are intercultural because men and women are from different cultures. But just a second, each one of you. I'll give only a second. What's your response in relation to this?
I don't agree all marriages are from different culture or are intercultural, because sometimes you marry somebody from the same culture that you use.
Thank you. Douglas, in 1 second.
It has not worked.
Thank
It's
you.
not working.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for being with me in the studio, Susanna and Douglas Namai. Briefly, we've been underscoring that communication is an important key, and also tolerance within the society is good. Thank you so much. I'm Rebecca Bironji.